with the profile is going to be again a little bit different. The login and register only needed one page. You had one input page. You push a button and it's saved. That's it. With the profile, we are going to need two of such pages. We first need to log in, check if that's all correct, and then give whatever is in the database back to the front. Users can then change the profile and save it again. So that's basically what we need to do, and that's what we're going to work on. We are going to create multiple functions now, specifically related to the tree-tier architecture. So there are going to be functions for the input, there are going to be functions for the database, and there are going to be functions for the test. And then we'll have the main body over here that will just have the interaction between them. So I'm going to take out stuff that's in here and put them in different functions. So we both need a login as a profile input. So I'm going to create a function called login input. Doesn't take any arguments, but we need this part, right? So post. So this is the one for the register. It needs to change just a little bit. We don't need to retype the password, and that's basically it. So this function simply gives back the input form. Sometimes, I mean, in some exercises on abstract data types, you'll see that you create a lot of functions to create a specific kind of data, but it's not exactly the same. Okay, so that's the login input. We already know how that looks. Let's also create a profile. Profile input. It also starts with a form. It doesn't have a login. It has a first name, which is an input type, and which we'll call. I'm gonna use the database structure to name it properly. So I'm gonna call it fname. Make it easier later on. You can give whatever here, but so the second one is gonna be sname. Oh, wait. Let's just delete this. Move this a little bit lower. So that's gonna be always the same, more or less. Oh, sorry. Not need the white spaces. Not so much. Okay, so we have a first name, which is fname. We have a second name, which is sname. We've got an email, just email, and phone number. And we'll just call it phone too. That's it. We don't need so many. And then of course the submit is not to login but to save profile. Okay, and I'm gonna keep this name submit. Doesn't well, no, I need to change it. This is gonna be the submit for login, and this is going to be the submit for profile. Okay, that's our basic input. Now remember that if I put everything in this form, I couldn't just close it, and then if I don't call it here, I can just test the input, right? So I'm gonna just test the profile input now, see if it looks exactly as I want it. Back over here, first name, second name, and so on, and then save profile. Looks okay. So the thing is with the profile, of course, I mean, the first time you give it as input, but the second time the values needs to be given. Like in the first user here, there are already, if there's already information there. So you actually want to display that information later on over here, right? So what we are going to do is create values, right? Just like you had a value for the submit button, now you're going to need values for everything. But how are you going to do that? I mean, how are we going to make sure that we can create values over here? We already saw arrays previously, but what I'm going to do is work with objects which are in, for now, let's just say that objects and arrays are almost the same. Okay, so I'm gonna get a user and I'll test it over here. So what I'll do is I'm gonna say that the user has oh wait, user, sorry, the user has f first name, me. The user has second name, blah. The user has email equal to me@gmail.com, and the user has a phone number. Oh. Oh. Equal to, I don't know. There you go. So this arrows make, so this is the value of user, and I'm gonna assign it to me. There's a value of a user called sname. I'm gonna assign it to blah, and what I will do then is I'll just give the user over here, which gets into this function, and then I'll just give every text field a value related to that user. Now the reason why I'm using an object and not an array, because you already saw arrays, but the reason why I'm using an object is because now I can just write it inside the string, which makes my life a lot easier. Well, more or less the same anyway. So I'm just gonna copy paste this and then change it. Copy paste is really useful. And then this is gonna be fname, this is gonna be email, and this was going to be phone. Now this name, and the name over here in your database, they do not need to be the same, but it's easy if you keep them the same, but they do not need to be the same. If you want to change this name phone to, well, phone 5, let's say, right? Then you just need to make sure that it's going to be over here, phone 5, right? Just, you really need to be careful that this name is going to be equal to the post method, and that if you use the object it's going to be the same, and to check if you create an SQL that then it's going to be the same as that field. So be a little bit careful with there, you can make easy mistakes. Okay, so let's try it, right? Let's try, always try stuff. Hop. Notice undefined property class test on line 21. What's happening on line 21? 21. Aha, you see, there's called email, but I made a typo here. There you go, and that's why I don't have the email over here. Always test, it's always better to test. There you go. Okay, so I got a login input, I got a profile input. So the thing is, if I now want to push save, nothing will happen. But if I push normally save, I would expect this to go to the database. So the question is, how do we get this from the database? And I'll go back to the database. So I'm gonna keep this function register for a while. I'm gonna just create a new function profile, and I'm gonna use some of the functions without all the tests, because you got all the tests here, right, which is complicating a little bit. So I'll just gonna copy only the things I need. So what do we need? First of all, I need to check if is set post submit, but there's no post submit. There is a submit login or submit profile. So I need to check those two, right? Let's say login first. Doesn't really matter which you take first because the if else's will just look different. Okay, so if the submit login is pushed, I will just, let's just echo get user. In the else case, I'm gonna do another if else. If log submit is equal to profile. What do you need to do if you push profile? You need to echo save user, and in all the other cases you need to wait a minute, you need to give the login input. Okay, let's do it a little bit different. I'm gonna say login input here. So first time you log in, if you push the login, I want to see the profile input. And so I'm going to take this little bit of code here. I'm going to put it over here. Doesn't matter. I already create a user. Doesn't matter. It stands there. But instead of saying get user, I'll just echo the profile with some dummy data that I created over here just to test. Okay. So this simply should create the basic changing between the pages. Let's see. Oh, 39. Yes, semicolon, of course. Yes, there's no echo here. I made a mistake. Yes, and what's the mistake? Mistake is of course that I didn't call profile. Okay, because I've used echoes over here, I will just need to call profile over there, right? Otherwise I do return, 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 and then I can do echo profile, but I just did a little bit different this time. So okay, first you have the login and password. Now I don't need to push any, give anything. The only thing I'm testing is the submits, right? So I'm at the moment here, right? Echo login input. If I push the submit, I'm gonna see the profile input with this dummy data. Submit me blah blah blah, and then if I push the save profile, you're gonna see save user. Okay, save user. So now let's do it again. You need to log in, you push the login, you get to the profile, you save the profile. That's basically it. So this piece of code contains the basic structure between the going to the front and the back. So instead of having this echo profile input, we need, I'm gonna make bodies, it's gonna be better anyway. Oh. Okay, this is just one time, so I don't need more than this. So what do I know if I'm at the submit login? Well, I know that there should be something as login and password I can check, and you already saw that with register more or less. So I can actually start copying pasting a lot of stuff over here. Do I need to check if it's empty? Well, I can, right? Yeah, and let's change the echoes and returns anyway. Always easier if you want to do some testing. So I do need to echo profile over there. So I'll just copy this part, right? Check if the login, check if it's not empty. I don't need to do this check. Hop. Right? I don't need the second password. I am going to do a kind of SQL, but I also need the password again. The error is always useful. Yes, let's just first copy this part. So I'll copy that part. So what did I copy? I take the select from user where login is equal to this, and password is equal to password function with, don't forget the quotes, password1. That should be it, right? And I'll check the error if there's something wrong. And okay, so at this moment, I selected everything, right? So what you can do is you can take a user equal to, and that's a function called MySQL fetch object. You have fetch object and fetch array. They are very useful functions. I'm gonna use them more from that SQL. And then we have our user, you see? So now I have this user, so I don't need the dummy user anymore. So let's just remove it. Hop, let's test it. We had the user, you see all the passwords are tests, it seems. So I'm gonna just log in with user1. Let's try it. Mixel test. Oh, a lot of notice, a lot of warning. It's not valid. Let's see. Notice trying to get proper 1920. Let's see what's happening. Aha, MySQL fetch object. Yes, of course. You see, I did the SQL here. What I had to do was the return. My mistake. Let's do it again. Okay, you see, this is info I didn't put. It comes from the database. It comes from here. See, Mixel, Keyman, and so on. Right? This is working. So let's do it again. If you don't believe me, Mixel test. Paw. So what happens? I go file login input. I'm coming over here, submit, blah, blah, blah. I'm doing all kind of tests. And then I'll simply have this SQL query, right? I could actually split this up. Let's see, how do I split it up? Well, it's small, right? Should I split it up? Well, let's leave that for next exercise. I'll just continue with the second part, that's this part, right? So you have the information, now you want to change stuff, right? And when you save it, it should, because if I now click save, it will just say save user, it's not doing it. So that's a part I need to change. So how do you change a user? Well, again, you can just use the SQL to test it. So if I go to the SQL and I say like, well, just give another number, let's say, right? And I do go. This is more or less the SQL that you will need. Again, you can remove a lot of things. The important thing is that, so it's update, you say users. So I'm gonna update users. I'm gonna set the phone to this number where user ID is equal to 1. Now in our case, we don't know that you only changed the first name, second name, and so on. So we're gonna make it easy and just update everything. So let's first of all go back to the SQL and actually create a query that's doing some interesting things. Let's say you see blah, it has nothing. Let's use it for blah. So I'm going to the SQL, update, don't need this, users, set phone to, okay, this number. Where, oh, I forgot. What's the user ID? The user ID of blah is 2, where user ID is equal to 2. limit one we don't need. And we don't just want to change the phone number, we're going to change everything. And email is equal to blah@gmail.com. And maybe we should do it the other way around, right? Let's put them in the same order as we had them. I'll just f name is equal to me, and s name is equal to just dummy information. Right, let's try this. Gonna save it and try it. It says one row affected, query, blah, blah, blah. So let's browse it, and you see that blah. Oh, no, 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 no. That's not what we expected. So what did we do wrong? It says it's doing it, right? 0 rows affected. Why? Okay, you know what? Let's try again with the insert. I'll just edit it and say, you know what? I'm gonna change this to me, whatever, at Gmail. And just a number. Go. Aha, you see, I did a mistake in the syntax. It should be a comma and not an and. My mistake. Okay, back to the code. So that's what we're gonna need over here. So it's gonna be SQL, and there's gonna be this string with a lot of information. We can remove a lot of this stuff. Hop, we just need users. We need to set first name to me, that's okay. I'm gonna set the second name to this. I'm gonna set the email to this, phone to this, where user ID is equal to 1, and we don't need the limit stuff. Don't need it, don't need it. Hop. Oh, 2. There you go. So this is basically the information we had, right? So of course what we need to change is that at every moment all these parts need to come from the front. So we used user before, so let's say there's going to be a user with the same information. So how does it look? It looks like this, right? User f name. So you can just use it over here. That's going to be the first name. That's going to be the second name. Instead of this, there's going to be email, and instead of phone number here, it's going to be phone, where user ID is equal to user ID. Okay, that's as far as we are. There's just one problem. Great. So this is how we expect it to look. The thing is, we have, when we submitted the profile, we have all this information in the input, right? So I'll just create another simple function called user from post from front. Let's just call it front. Okay, that doesn't take anything in, but oh, sorry, that's strange. We'll actually return a user. The user is exactly what we did before. We're going to just say that the f name is equal to post f name. And we need this for all the bits of the profile. Oh. First name, second name, email, oops, and phone. There's one little snatch. We also need the user ID. So where's the user ID? There's no user ID in the form, right? Now, normally, when we log in, we expect that there will be a user ID. So that's one thing we still need to change. In what I will do is I expect that this user has also user ID, right? Let's see, if I log in, I get over here, I select everything, and in this everything, if you go and have a look, in this everything there's also the user ID, right? So we do have the user ID over here. The thing is we don't put them in the inputs. So how we are going to do that is we're going to create an input without any more information around it. The type is called hidden. The value is going to be our user ID, and the name is going to be user ID, right? So, hidden is with two D's. So there's a hidden type, so that's not going to be displayed, with a value user ID and a name user ID. And if I have it like this, I will actually have it over here. So now I also have the user ID. See, user ID. And that's basically it. So, instead of saving it yet, we can actually just echo it, right? So return got SQL. Let's try it so far. So I'm not gonna update the database. I'm first gonna test it. So if I run it again, oh, 23. What's wrong in 23? Yeah, okay. I had a semicolon over there. Took one too many. Okay, so I log in with blah and test. It gives me this and all this information. But if I now view the source, page source, where do I see that? Can't I? Page source, thank you. You will see that there is always login. Oh, sorry, not here. Not yet here. Oh, this should show me the page source. Huh. Okay. New to Chrome. I should be able to inspect this or something. Huh. Interesting. Okay. So, well, I'm not sure how to do that with Chrome. I've been new to Chrome. Development tools. Let's see what we get. So there's the method post. And over here, you see the hidden value 2 is equal to user ID. A better interface. Yeah, I like this. Okay, so you see the hidden value 2 is equal to user ID, so you can actually still see it. Okay, gonna close it again. So what happens if I change stuff? If I put save, I should not get all these errors. Okay, line 60. Let's have a look. Ah, yeah, right. I'm calling it, but I didn't call the function. So the thing is, I did all this stuff in this function, but now I didn't call it. So I need to say that user here is going to be this user, right? You get it from there. So let's retry it. So, okay, so I still got some noticings on line 60 saying undefined property. S name and email, because all of them are F names, of course. Second name, email, and phone. So I didn't yet change it over here. That's the mistakes. So now it should be okay. So you've got update user set F name equal to this, second name to this, and so on. So this should actually work, right? So again, you see I made some mistakes because I was doing several things at the same time and I forgot what I was doing. And but this SQL should work. So the next thing to do is actually just run the SQL. That's this part again, right? And if there's no mistake, just give back the profile. This is neat. The thing what you want to do is, because we already created this profile input and we already have this user over here, we can just put this over here and we see the same profile again. So let's do that. Let's save it. Gonna get back to the front here. Let's take another user. So we had blah, Yobro also. Wait a minute. Tester with test doesn't have any values. So let's go back. Test login. There's nothing. Just gonna dummy information over here. Save. Nothing's happening. But if you go to the database and now you reload, you see that tester has this information I just gave. So that's the profile.